Hello you, thanks for watching my side channel. I love having you here. I love all that craziness over on the main channel, talking about politics, trying to analyse and understand the way the world's going. But let's face it, it can be a little bit stressful. This is a Movember video. Now, I'll let you know the truth. I think Movember's a bit stupid. I think anything that changes the name of a month is a bit stupid. But I recognise that the point of Movember, as well as it having something to do with moustaches, which I'm kind of reluctant to yield to, is there's a mirror there, I'm not crazy. Yeah, men's mental health, right, in Movember is something I want to talk to you about, because 63%, we know, we can look at analytics of you identify as male, so you're men. Regardless of your gender or how you identify, mental health is an important issue. I wonder what the correlative is with mental health and maleness, and I wonder why male suicide rates tend to be higher. One imagines, well, the only real knowledge I have of this, other than being a man, is I did this thing once, as I've mentioned before, where I created a piece made of men's last words before they took their own lives. And like so many of them were talking about financial pressure, many of them talking about stuff that's just identifying, I don't feel good enough, he'll be better off without me, things that I feel pretty regularly, as a matter of fact. Anyway, so I feel like mental health is affecting all of us. And if you want to know the truth, I don't think it's an individual problem. I think it's a social problem, and I think it's caused by living in unnatural conditions with unnatural stresses, detached from nature, both inner and outer, that we are unable to live lives in alignment with what we've evolved for, that we've evolved to live in a hunter-gatherer modality, and we live in a settled, insular, urban, or however you live. You know, I know loads of you live in small towns or villages, and maybe some of you are right there off-grid, living large, but most of us aren't living connected lives. And because, you know, to get back in touch with how we need to, or how we're evolved to live, would require some kind of pretty radical revolution, which, you know, we can work on that over time. I feel that we have to synthesize the conditions of our design or of our evolution, meaning you need to belong to a group, you need to have a purpose, you need to use your body, you need to eat foods that you're evolved to eat regularly, and I'm sure there's a lot of variation within that. There's certain different body types or types beyond anatomy have different nutritional requirements. This is what I do for my mental health. I meditate all the time, I pray all the time, I attend support groups pretty bloody regularly, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I do other forms of exercise. And for me, these things all make sense, because I think, oh, wow, yeah, if we were living hunter-gatherer lives, you know, where it was difficult to get food, difficult to survive, maintain shelter, all of that, many of these things you would have an equivalent. Of course, I'm pretty glad that I live in a house, actually, rather than in a potentially chilly forest wrapped in furs, looking for berries, rolling the dice on whether they're edible or not. I'm pretty grateful for many, many aspects of civilization. So much of it is beautiful and incredible. I adore culture, and I adore science, and I adore progress. Really, though, the thing that mostly troubles me are the kind of ideals that are masked behind the way we live, and in fact aren't really even diagnosed or presented as ideals at all, but rather as norms. For now, you really have to take responsibility for your own mental health, because culture is not going to look after your mental health. Culture is going to erode, attack, and diminish your mental health, so that you try to solve the problems of feelings of inferiority, inadequacy, unhappiness, sadness through participatory measures that benefit the system, like buying stuff, being broadly compliant, going to work, obeying rules, all these kind of different forms of obedience and compliance. Anyway, those things I'm more interested in addressing on the other channel. Here, really, I would like to suggest that you include meditation as a regular part of your life, a daily part of your life, that you include exercise as a daily part of your life, that you make sure that you communicate regularly with other people that understand you and don't have skin in the game. There's a limit to how much you can tell people you live in the same house with, because there are competing interests as well as shared interests. Speaking as someone that's married, you can't overly burden your partner with everything. You need a variety of supportive folk in your life. I have various mentors, peers, people that come to me for help, and that means I'm part of a kind of network. I don't use it all the time. Sometimes I get too caught up in myself and my self-centeredness, and self-centeredness is never the answer to any of my mental health problems. And when I forget to stay plugged into that network, things deteriorate. Exercise is one area of mental health that is pretty easy to remedy, although a lot of you, if you're feeling depressed or whatever, that tends to come with a degree of lethargy that you just don't want to. And like, that's why I'm so, in a sense, pleased with the fact that I've pursued jiu-jitsu and continue one day at a time to pursue jiu-jitsu, because I'm a person, I don't like doing stuff like that. I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to school. I want to note for games. I don't want to do anything. My natural state, I don't know, natural, because it's probably a response to trauma, the trauma of my individual life and the trauma of our cultural life. For me, what seems most normal is to shut down, switch off. That is no longer an option. Now I live this vibrant life full of human beings and animals and opportunity and all these wonderful things. Still feel the same stuff deep down in loads and loads of ways. But exercise is a significant part of it, because if you're using your body how your body's intended to be used. Now, a lot of you might be dealing with pain or disability or however you term that. And so I reckon you're living within particular limitations, but where possible, and like, you know, many of my mates, or the few of my mates, are dealing with different levels of ability. One of my mates only got one leg. That dude cracks on and does all sorts of stuff like that, you know, just within the limitations that he experiences. So I would recommend that for you as well. If there are limits, then okay, you have to sensibly live within those limits. But you know, so much of it is about awakening something in us. There's something in us that is dormant and unaddressed. Like, if you think about it, you feel feelings of frustration and you feel feelings of lethargy. The feelings of frustration mean that there's an energy that needs to be expressed. The feelings of lethargy is that you're beginning to detach from your circumstances. Lethargy must be addressed by engagement. Frustration must be addressed by expression. And we need direction with those two types of energy, because otherwise the lethargy will let us, you know, will drift into absolute apathy and uninterest in reality. And with the frustration, negative things can happen in it. You can act out. Another thing you might want to consider is, you know, if you do sign up to Luminaries, you get my above the noise meditation, where I do a guided meditation every single week. But also here, you know, without subscribing, even it's about £3, I think, a week or something to get Luminary, and there's a bunch of stuff on there. But if that's not within your means, the side channel here on YouTube, Awakening with Russell Brand, I put up a meditation most weeks, so there's content there. And if you don't want to do my stuff, I enjoy Muji's meditations, I enjoy Ram Dass meditations, Thich Nhat Hanh. All of these have a bunch of content. Jacob Stevenson, Australian geezer, he does lovely guided meditations. All these things you can get for nothing on YouTube. So Movember, if you can't be bothered to grow a moustache, or it's not your thing at all, then perhaps get to the heart of it and address your mental health through meditation, peer-to-peer communication and support, recognizing whether it's frustration or lethargy that you're suffering from, and sign up to our mailing list, because we're building community all the time and looking for new solutions. You can click here to become a member of my mailing list. Have a look at this video if you want to do a meditation right now. This is a nice one. And if you want to get into some of the more political stuff, have a look at this saucy little devil. Thank you very much for watching. Stay free.